Electric Soup Kitchen.
You eating something, Richard?
Eating a bit of buttered bread for my breakfast.
Not even toasted?
No, but it's nice crusty bread.
Oh, fresh from the baker's.
Yeah. Well, a couple of days ago.
Well, it's the first podcast in a while.
Yeah, we've missed
But,
a few.
Yeah, certainly have. I haven't done one since April. I haven't posted one since April. And that is because I couldn't be bothered. And what are you going to do about it?
I know, if there's been a flood of emails saying where were you, then maybe you might have.
I know. I'll tell you what did happen that was a bit disheartening. The iWeb, which is the application I use on my Mac to post and host the podcast and the electricsoupkitchen.com site, they included an update that changed your RSS feed. So we had like 2 years of subscribers in iTunes, and I think there was quite a lot there. They just lost all the updates, and there was no way of contacting them to say that things have changed. So
Ah, that's really bad.
yeah, and I spent ages emailing them and talking to them and going backwards and forwards. And in the end, they sent me this huge long, basically, it was almost like code that you have to type into iWeb to get it to reroute your old feed, and I couldn't even work out how to do it, and that was the only way to do it. So anyway, this is going to be our first attempt at a conference call.
Woohoo!
And I can see that Oliver's online now, but I think I have to stop recording and start again as a conference call, so I'll be back with you in a second.
Okay, I'll finish my bread.
Alright, bye. Anyway, this is a conference call, so Richard is online as well. Say hello, Richard.
Hello.
Hello.
Isn't that amazing? Got me in London, you in East Yorkshire, somebody in the States, all talking crap.
Cool.
Oliver, a little bird told me that you went out last night.
I did.
How old are you?
14.
And what were you doing last night?
Just having a laugh.
How do 14-year-olds have a laugh these days?
I was drinking.
Drinking. Richard, what do
Yeah,
you think?
but it
That's
wasn't.
terrible.
It was what?
It wasn't actual beer though.
Or what was it then? Petrol?
It was like WKD. It's not, well, it is beer, but it's
You mean
not as alcoholic.
you were drinking alcohol pops?
Yeah. Because I didn't want to get drunk because I'm paintballing today.
Well, the best thing to do is get drunk and then go paintballing.
Yeah, but I can't be feeling bad on the day that I'd go.
Listen, this podcast is 2 years old now.
Yes.
In those 2 years, Oliver, we've seen you go from a fresh-faced young man full of enthusiasm into computer games, happy to be involved, to this gravel-voiced, hungover wreck of a human being that we're talking to now.
I'm not hungover.
He's going to spend the day shooting people.
Yeah, exactly. He's going out to live out his fantasies of walking through high school with a rifle. What game are you reviewing?
Well, I could do Rock Band or Grand Theft Auto 4.
Well, I've got an interest in Rock Band, but I know Richard played the very first Grand Theft Auto way back in the day, as I believe you kids say.
I was going to say I played all of them, except the new one because it isn't out for the PC yet. But
Is that 4 that he's talking about?
yeah.
Well,
So I'll be very interested in hearing.
well, Oliver, why don't you do Rock Band, but end with a quick Grand Theft Auto?
Alright. Well, Rock Band is pretty much the same as Guitar Hero, except you've got a drum kit and
Wait, just a minute.
microphone.
Just a minute. Are you playing with your microphone?
No.
It's making a lot of noise. Carry on.
So you've got your drum kit and the microphone, and there's a lot of songs on it to play. It's not just like heavy metal rock like on Guitar Hero anymore. We've got some pop rock sort of songs.
Oh yeah, like McFly.
No.
Yeah.
And I
So
think a lot of people. What?
But it's like the Sing Superstar game, but everybody's got an instrument. So you've got a drum kit.
Yeah.
Have you got a keyboard?
You don't have a keyboard.
All right. So you've got a drum kit, 2 guitars, and a microphone.
Yeah, you can't. If you've already got Guitar Hero, then you'll have 2 guitars.
All right.
But if not, you'd have to buy another guitar separate.
Mm.
So you can have like 4 people playing at once. The drums is probably what most people buy it for.
Mm.
And it's just the same as on Guitar Hero, where the neck comes down and you see the notes and you just hit it.
Mm.
Singing, the words just come up and you sing it.
Yeah.
It's quite easy.
Yeah. So have you had a lot of enjoyment out of it?
Yep. I took it round last night and had fun there.
What, while you were boozing?
Yes.
You live in the rock dream, singing with a bottle of WKD in your hand.
No.
So how many thumbs up? I don't even. It seems like, sort of ingy thumbs up, but just from a bygone age now. It just seems too childish to give it ingy thumbs up. We need something more grown up, like how many fucking awesomes do you give Rock Band? How many?
Give it 9 fucking awesomes.
Right, quickly, Grand Theft Auto.
Well, it's gone a lot since the first ones, because that used to be just a bird's eye view of a car or whatever. I didn't really play it, but now the graphics are good. Sort of took like New York and just made it a bit more easier to play in, like made it smaller and stuff. You can go to, there's loads of landmarks that are actually in New York, and they've put them in there, like Statue of Liberty, and I'm not sure what it is, but there's a big metal globe in the middle of a pond or something, and the Empire State Building.
Yeah.
And this guy called Nika from a European country, and your cousin, he keeps telling you how he's living the American life or something, and then when you get there, it turns out it's really crap, and you've got to sort of do jobs for people, try and get a bit of
When he
money.
gets there, he thinks it's crap because he's got to do a job. Has that been your experience of moving to America, Richard?
Oh, exactly like that.
Wait a minute. This is just like where I've come from, with jobs and stuff like that. But you didn't go on a Grand Theft Auto style rampage, did you, Richard?
Well, only around the candy shops. So I did.
Carry on, Ollie. I'm not getting bored or anything. I just thought I'd say something because I've been quiet for 2 minutes.
Yeah, well, your cousin says how he's got a big mansion and things and a nice car, but when you get there, you see that he's just got a crappy flat, so you don't really like it, but then...
Do you kill him then?
No, he gets killed though.
Alright.
At the end.
Right.
It
sounds just like all the other Grand Theft Autos.
It is. It's not as stupid as the rest though. It's got a bit more of a interesting storyline in this one.
Well, it's not for me. What about you, Richard?
Yeah, I'll probably try and get hold of a copy and play it.
I get hold of a
'cause
copy.
it was always...
What do you mean by get hold of a copy?
I'll probably pirate it.
Oh, good lord, we've got an alcoholic and a thief. Welcome to the Electric Soup Kitchen. Teenage drinkers and thieves. I am, of course, above suspicion.
Truth is stranger than fiction. This is the proof. This is Ripley's. Believe it or not.
The first air-conditioned house in the United States was Lime Air, built in Luray, Virginia by Colonel T.C. Northcott. It was kept cool in summer and warm in winter by air piped from the nearby Luray Caverns. Believe it or not. In a moment, I'll tell you about a weaponless duel. One of the strangest duels where no weapons were used was between two sculptors. The great Buddha, a statue in the Diamond Mountains of Korea, was carved 600 years ago by a sculptor named Kindo. It's there because of an unusual duel in which Kindo and a rival sculptor named Rao agreed that whichever created the poorer statue would forfeit his life. Kindo won, and Rao drowned himself. Believe it or not.
Film and television.
All right, quickly, because I know you've got to go paintballing and you're very excited.
Yep.
But Richard, have you seen all the new Doctor Who's?
I did. I caught up with them last weekend.
Thoughts on the new series, end of the series, the whole series? Anyone?
Excellent. It was really, really good.
Oliver? Ollie?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it might have been a bit more of a bigger story with the bees disappearing. And I didn't really get that.
I know they talked about that a lot, didn't they, in different episodes?
Yeah.
Well, they didn't. It wasn't explained that that's how he traced where Earth had gone because the bees were flying
Yeah,
there.
but I didn't understand it though.
I suppose just a drunken haze.
Were you a bit disappointed with him not regenerating, or?
Not really. It was just certain bits that I wouldn't have understood.
What do you mean?
Well, what do you mean?
Were you disappointed that he didn't regenerate?
Well, no. I thought that was what was going to happen.
Yeah, I sort of wanted him to regenerate now. That felt like a bit of a cop-out. Richard?
I knew that.
No, because I thought it was going to be a bit of a cop-out if he had have regenerated, because I was really enjoying it, and then that was like... If it'd been someone new, then that would have spoiled the rest of the story, because then you're getting used to the new person.
Yeah, but when he first regenerates, he's like out of action, isn't he? So I thought it was going to be a new Doctor, but he's going to be out of action, and all the companions were going to save the day.
Ah, right. No, companions never save the day.
What about Davros?
Wow, it was good to see.
He was good, wasn't he?
He was. Scary as ever.
He was scary, he was sort of mad, and then I really liked it. When he sort of knew he was beat, he started getting a bit snivelling around the Red Dalek. Did you see all of that?
Yeah.
I thought, oh, that was excellent. Oliver, you're a big Doctor Who fan. At least you were 2 years ago. How long has it been on now? 3 years? 4 years? You might start growing out of it soon. With all your drinking and whatnot. Girls. Cigs on the corner. What do you think?
No, I've probably stay watching it.
Well, there's no series next year, is there? But there's 3 specials, feature-length specials.
Is it?
Yeah, there's no series next year. But there's 3 feature-length specials. And then there's a series the year after that. So 2010 is when the series comes back. And that series is being produced by Peter Moffat, who... So Russell T Davies is going. A lot of people sort of had their issues with Russell T Davies, but I mean, you know, he's brought it back. It's the #1 program on British television, and I think any quibbles I've got with it are just sort of just been a bit. I don't know. It just seems like there's no point in. You can pick at it, but why bother? You know, you've got Doctor Who's back on primetime TV, and it's 75% of it is fantastic. So. But Peter Moffat has written all the best episodes. He wrote The Silence in the Library. He wrote the Doctor Dances with the World War II and with the gas masks. He wrote Blink with the statues. So
that was very good.
Yeah, so without a doubt, he's written the best episodes of all 4 series. So it's going to be really interesting to see, once he's the showrunner, to see what happens in 2 years' time. So, I mean, that, fingers crossed, should be a whole different level. And I suspect that will be with a new Doctor. I bet David Tennant regenerates at the end of the specials. He's got to do, really, hasn't he?
Well, it depends on which way the writing takes it. Because I think that's been the big thing with this series is how different the writing is.
But if he's coming in and he's sort of, it's like a new broom. He's probably gonna want to start with the new Doctor, isn't he? You would have thought, but we'll see. It's the Cybermen at Christmas. Did you see that?
Yeah. It looks quite good. Well, I was kind of like, Cybermen again.
Yeah. But they're in.
But-
It looks like they're in Victorian London, which could be
Yeah, it
interesting.
could be sort of, I can't remember what they call it. You know, that sort of retro punk,
Steampunk.
steampunk.
Oliver, should we let you
Uh,
go?
Yeah, if you want.
Have you got anything else to add?
Nope.
Do you want to do a shout out to any of your homies?
No.
All right then. Well, you can go if you want.
Alright,
All right. See you later.
see ya.
Bye. 2 years down the line, Richard, we did a conference call.
Yeah, we're surging ahead technology-wise.
Now all we've got to do is get everybody on the conference call. I was trying to get Barry online to do his B-movie review, but as a man who, with 3 children, 2 of which are twins, and a very busy lifestyle, the fact that we can get together and talk is hard enough. But so we did 3. So maybe next month we'll get all 4.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of films out. I don't know if did you get to see the new Indiana Jones?
No, because we moved, so that was a big chunk of life reorganizing and stuff. So yeah, I haven't really had a chance. I haven't really just got the computers all set back up last couple of weeks or so.
Right.
But yeah, no, there's that. They're quite fancy seeing. Also, this new Hellboy movie that's supposed to be very good.
Well, that's getting great reviews, isn't it?
Yeah.
I like the first Hellboy film. I thought it was all right.
Yeah, no, it was quite good. Yeah. And yeah, this one's really good. Obviously, the new Batman.
That's getting
very
great
good
reviews.
as well.
Yeah.
And
Iron
you've
Man.
seen the trailer?
Go on.
Iron Man. Iron Man, I wasn't so fussed about. That seemed too more sort of kids comic-y.
What was the trailer you were going to say?
Let's go from Ed now. Mutant Chronicles.
I haven't seen it now, but I remember you read the script way back.
Yeah. Actually, the trailer looks really good.
Well, the script sounded good. It was all that was all dark and steampunky, wasn't it? And sort of set
Yeah.
in Stonehenge and age-old evils getting released on England. It's always good to see things like that happening in England.
Yeah.
Like Life Force. Remember Life Force, the Toby Hooper film?
Yeah. Yeah, I was reading a review of that just the other week. It was great.
It's not. I don't
No,
think it's a bad
that's-
film.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's a bit cheesy, but
But again, it all takes place in London. It's good to see. It's always good to see London sort of under attack.
yeah, that's what I liked about the Doctor Who's. They've sort of gone back to that a bit.
Yeah,
Guys in uniforms around shooting at aliens.
yeah.
Although you've had that for real life in England quite a bit this month, haven't you?
What, people shooting at aliens?
Well, not shooting them, but there's been a big, huge surge of UFO sightings in England.
There was the only thing I saw was that police in Wales released a telephone call to ask people to use 999 number responsibly because the guy had called up about a large white object that was just hanging over the hills in Wales, and he thought it was a UFO, and they went up there to check it out, and it was the moon.
Yeah, I saw that one. But no, there's been a huge amount of sightings just recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's one even like a police helicopter chased something for a while.
I haven't seen any of this, but it's the Roswell anniversary again, isn't it? Maybe that brings them all out the woodwork.
Maybe. But it just seems to be a big surge of them in England at the minute.
Should we play a UFO song then to go along with that?
Oh, surely.
This is Let's Go UFOing by Jimmy Durante, which was a cash-in on the original UFO craze in the 50s.
If you want to get a thrill, if you want to see the sights, jump right in. I got an unidentified flying object, yeah. Let's go for a spin. We're going UFOing. When saucer flying. We'll glide across the skies. Nobody will believe their eyes. Just when they think they've seen us, we'll zoom away to Venus. One moment we're in Mexico, like that we're over Idaho. Just tell me where you want to go in my UFO. We're going UFOing. We're trying saucer flying. We'll glide across the skies. Nobody will believe their eyes. Just when they think they've seen us, we'll zoom away to Venus. One moment we're in Mexico, like that we're over Idaho. Just tell me where you want to go in my UFO. We're going UFOing. We're trying saucer flying. We'll glide across the skies. Nobody will believe their eyes. Just when they think they've seen us, we'll zoom away to Venus. One moment we're in Mexico, like that we're over Idaho. Just tell me where you want to go in my UFO. We're going UFO. We're trying saucer flying. We'll glide across the skies. Nobody will believe their eyes. Just when they think they've seen us, we'll zoom away to Venus. One moment we're in Mexico, like that we're over Idaho. Just tell me where you want to go in my UFO.
There was I know they've released like the Ministry of Defence equivalent of the X-Files, the Freedom of Information Act. I know some of that has come out, like old 70s drawings of what people saw, and there was some letter that I read online of some guy who'd been in contact with aliens for 30 years. Zerg or Kurg he'd been in contact with. But it could be, it's probably the Roswell anniversary, bringing them all out the woodwork again. I'd like to go to Roswell because it's drivable from Chris's parents, but there's nothing out there. But there's just like a few.
Oh, there's something out there.
Is there something out there?
There is.
The truth is out there. But there's like a little bar and a little sort of mini industry sprung up around people who drive 2 hours into the middle of nowhere. But if you go on Google Earth, you can look at Roswell on Google Earth.
Oh wow.
It's not. Yeah, I've looked Area 51. You can have an aerial view of it, so it's not. I couldn't see any UFOs when I looked. Although there are people who claim that they found UFOs on Google Earth. Have you seen that?
No.
If you do a search, like a Google search for UFO images, there's quite a few that people have pulled off Google Earth where there's something weird in the sky above the cityscape. There's tons of stuff like that. People sunbathing and a lot of them is probably weather balloons and stuff. But there's people that spend far too much time scrutinizing Google Earth, which is now they're coming out with Google Street. Have you seen that?
Yeah, we had that over here, and they've not done the village here, but they've done close by it. And yeah, some of those are quite funny. Some of those sites.
So they just drive around, filming or taking photographs and.
Yeah, it's a multiple lens camera that takes a still every so many seconds, and then they stitch it all together so you can pan around. It's really good.
But there's worry that it's an invasion of privacy, isn't there?
There is a bit, but then again, it's only shooting what you can see from the street anyway, so that's the same as anyone taking a photograph.
Yeah, but over here, I don't know if it's the same over there. Over here, if somebody takes a picture of you, you legally have a right to claim a copy of that image.
Well, that's slightly coming under the Data Protection Act in England.
Yeah.
Yeah, similarly, if you're recorded by CCTV,
yeah,
you can claim a copy of that tape.
Yeah.
So I guess they're applying that to the Google vans, as it were.
Yeah.
Uh,
I suppose the other worry is that people would use it to like sort of plan robberies or terrorism, but it's not like you. I don't know. It's a sort of a silly way of looking at it, really, isn't it? Because it's not like you can't
yeah.
go walk down a street that you're planning to rob.
No, and I think they've done things over here where certain images are blurred if there is any sort of security concern. I mean, you've had laws, pertaining to what you can and can't take photos of for years in both countries, so it's not like it's anything really new, other than they're bringing a lot of the information all together at once.
I suppose it's just like a bit of a minefield of people wanting to opt out, or I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
but,
like,
but again, you could sit on a street corner taking photos, and people wouldn't know.
yeah.
It's only because they're all put up on the web. We should definitely have a play with it. Go look at like some American dresses and have a play with it, because it's quite good.
Is it what?
And again, that's caught very random things. Like there's one good progression of a kid riding his bike down alongside the car, and the kid just wipes out
Oh, right.
over the next couple of pictures, and next shot you can see is there holding his and rubbing his knee. And there's one of a guy pointing a gun at a kid as he runs down the street.
Really?
There's a whole lot of
Oh.
there's a whole lot of sites that sprung up of Google Earth, Google Map shots.
Hey, maybe you could make your own like photo story. You know, like people have gone out and made little short films and done it all in front of security cameras around the city. You could do your own like Google Earth photo love story as you were.
Yeah, you'd have to use the stills that they. I mean, they're not continually driving around the same area all the time.
All right.
They drive it once, and then they've got all the pictures they need.
Well, that's what I mean. If you stage it throughout where they're going,
Yeah, if you knew where they were going, yeah.
put a little story in there.
Or you could just inflate the pictures that were available into something.
Interesting. Anything else been happening? Any news or just general chit chat, Richard?
Just change it up. No, because that was my big thing. I thought the Doctor Who. That's why I caught up on all those. Like I say, yeah, there seems to be some really good movies coming out.
There's Hellboy 2, Batman, Wall-E or Wally.
Yeah, that's getting good reviews.
Yeah, that's got
Over here.
amazing reviews. Yeah. What else? There's something else.
Our new X-Files film out later in the year.
I'm not as excited by that as you are.
I'm not excited. I'm more interested. See what they do with it.
Well, is it not going to try and tie up? Aren't there a lot of loose threads in the X-Files stories?
I don't know. Towards the end, I sort of got bored with it and drifted away.
Drifted away to Buffy.
Perhaps so. Yeah, maybe.
I bet. Do you know? I wouldn't be surprised. Like the trend of like, because Sex and the City got made into a movie, and that made an absolute fortune. Like Crystal went to try and see it on the week it opened in London, and every single cinema was booked out, sold out in London.
That's incredible.
I know, for the Sex and the City film, and then there's the X-Files one. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Buffy film. There was rumours of a Friends film. I bet that there's going to be tons of films now trying to cash in on that market of because they're shows that have had a second life in DVD after they finished on the TV, and the DVD sales have been that big. They've thought, oh, maybe there's a movie in it, and yeah, and the Sex and the City film has been absolutely huge. So
wasn't Chris like banging on the booking door saying, "Do you know who I am?"
they went to they got another night and they found another screen, but on the Wednesday night it opened, every screen that was showing it was in London was sold out unless you went really far out on the fringes. Every like central and like out to Camden and Finchley and stuff was sold out, and it was full of women like partying like in the cinemas, like just like like scream, carrying on with and really getting into the film, and they were like, it was like some sort of like Rocky Horror Show type film going experience apparently. But yeah, it's been huge. So I bet I wouldn't be surprised if they're thinking, oh yeah, do another Buffy film, because Buffy originally was a film, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what it first came out as.
Yeah.
With Christy Swanson.
Yeah, and Luke Perry, I think.
Hello again, this is Jim, back once more to read another short story from the book entitled Derbyshire Ghosts and Legends by David Bell. This next one, I believe, is in the area of Ashbourne, and it's entitled The Gale from Nowhere. Harold Maddock was alone in his car in November 1977 as he drove from Ashbourne to Thorpe to pick up his wife and son from Dog and Partridge. It was 10 p.m. on a fine night, dry and calm. He turned a bend near to Spend Lane when suddenly the car was full of rushing wind, despite the fact that the windows were all shut tight. Harold described it as a hell of a gale, accompanied by a sound like the upholstery being torn apart. He thinks it lasted for only a few seconds. He then felt a violent blow to his stomach. He recalls raising his left arm to protect himself from whatever had caused it, while continuing to steer with his right hand. Shaken, he continued with his journey. When he reached the pub, his first action was to drink a stiff whisky before telling his family of his peculiar experience. He checked the car but found there was no mark on it, inside or out. Despite the earlier noise of ripping upholstery, the car seats were undamaged, although the next morning he did find a 1.5-inch metal disc on the floor. This had previously been attached to the fascia on a spot where it was possible to have a clock fitted. Harold now knew what had hit him, but still had no idea why it should have hurled itself at him with such force. When he began to ask his friends and neighbours, he discovered that the Spend Lane location had long been subject to strange happenings. Once a girl had been thrown from a previously well-behaved and placid pony there. Harold's wife, Nerida, told him of a wedding reception in 1955 where the top tier fell off wedding cake, and just as a member of the party was saying that he hoped it wasn't a bad omen, news came that a car carrying other guests had crashed into a ditch at Spend Lane. Fortunately, none of them were seriously hurt. Spend Lane has become a traffic black spot, and the local paper carries reports of accidents occurring there on a regular basis. These are often blamed on motorists losing control on the bends or driving too fast. Could there be another factor at work? Harold has traced a local legend that these odd occurrences date back several hundred years to a tragic accident that befell a bride on her way to a wedding in Ashbourne. She left her Fenny Bentley home in her wedding carriage, but it turned over and she was killed instantly. This terrible event took place at Spend Lane, but so many strange happenings have occurred since. And that's all for now.
News.
One of the universities over here, there was a church on campus,
Mm.
and they were having Sunday services. It was one of the churches that gives out a Eucharist.
Mm. What is a Eucharist again? Just explain that.
It's the wafer that's blessed,
Yeah.
and as part of the ceremony, it's supposed to be, become the body of Christ.
Yeah. Now that if you're a sort of practicing good Catholic, you believe that miracle happens every time you take the Eucharist.
Yeah, and it's all taken very, very seriously.
Yeah.
And one of the students, the mass, didn't take it. He didn't put it in his mouth.
Mhm.
And there's a bit of argy-bargy with them trying to stop him leaving. But eventually he did leave with it.
Mhm.
And now the church is all upset that he's still got it, sort of saying as though he's holding it hostage.
He's got a bit of the body of Christ.
Yeah.
But isn't it meant to happen in your mouth? It's a shame Barry wasn't here because he would.
Yeah, he'd be more religious expert than us. But I'm sure they do take it all very seriously and not to make fun of them and stuff. But it was just part of the report was that they're now planning on having a nun attend all the masses from now on as security.
Yes.
Which I just thought was hilarious. That
Security nun.
Was to get a nun in.
Yeah.
Not to have a big bloke there watching what was going on, but to get a couple of nuns in.
Oh, but some of those nuns can be mean. Don't be fooled by thinking it's some sweet old lady.
Oh no, that's what I mean. Walking around with a big ruler,
Yeah.
whack anyone. Look like they were going to make off with it.
But isn't the transformation meant to happen in your mouth, though, isn't it?
Not in your hand.
Are you all right, Richard?
Yeah.
That is your joke, you know. You're having an asthma attack over.
That just struck me as very, very funny.
It's the communion wafer that melts, that transforms in your mouth, melts in your mouth, not in your hand. So he has.
Yeah.
All he's got is a wafer, but they're just
Yeah, but
angry
they're
that
very offended by it, especially as he won't return it. Right, he's keeping it in a Ziploc bag in his room.
and the wine turns into the blood.
Yeah.
Uh, what else? Have you? I tell you what we hardly ever talk about. Have you read any good books?
I haven't. My book reading has really, really dropped off.
Yeah.
Simply just find the time to just sit down and do it. I do prefer it to reading online, especially for anything technical.
Oh yeah.
I prefer to have a book in my hand, but just mostly look at stuff online now. So there's a lot of reading that way.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. It's not the same. I've even thought about those tablets that you can get for specifically for like reading comics and books online. I think I'd rather have one of them than use the computer because it just doesn't. It's not right, is it? Sort of using the computer.
Yeah, it's harder to relax.
Yeah.
Sit there and read. It all tends to seem a bit workish.
But I know what you
I'm
mean.
sure
I mean, I've got a book that I've been trying to finish for about a year. It's just with kids. It's very hard. Young kids. It's very hard to have a couple of hours to sit and have nothing to do. So it is hard. But that's The Historian. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's really good. It's meant to be frightening. It's a sort of modern day. Well, it's not modern day. In fact, it's next to me here. Let me read you the back. Late one night, exploring her father's library, a young woman finds an ancient book and a cachet of yellowing letters addressed ominously to "my dear and unfortunate successor." Her discovery plunges her into a world she never dreamt of, a labyrinth where the secrets of her father's past and her mother's mysterious fate connect to an evil hidden in the depths of history. Yeah, it's basically her dad's a historian who worked for Dracula. Is the is the book. So, but like I said, I'm trying to finish it. I've just finished In Harm's Way. Have you heard of that?
No. Am I thinking of the film? But
well, it's based on the Indianapolis story. You know the Robert Shaw in Jaws when he tells that story about the ship delivering the bomb and they got torpedoed and
oh yeah, they're all
eaten by sharks or went crazy in the water at sea for like 3 or 4 days. Well, yeah, it's a true incident, and this is a story of that incident In Harm's Way by Doug Stanton, and that is an amazing story. And I mean, it's what they went through is it's unimaginable, really. And they were just kids, like 18, 19, covered in oil, floating on rafts, and nobody knew they'd gone missing because they were on this top secret mission to deliver parts of the bomb the atomic bomb. They got torpedoed. They were at sea for I think like 3 or 4 days, but they were injured. They were dehydrated. If you drank salt water, you went mad, and people were doing that. They were being circled by sharks. And I think some 900 men went in, and 4 days later, when they finally were discovered as missing and rescued, 150 were left. It's an incredible story, In Harm's Way by Doug Stanton. If you get a chance to read it, I can thoroughly recommend it.
Oh, look at that! It does sound good. And kind of tying in with that, there was a news report yesterday that the beach where they filmed all the scenes for Jaws.
I've been to that beach.
Yeah, well, they had a report of a great white yesterday, and everyone had to get off the beach and out of the water.
In Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah, but they sent a helicopter, but there's no confirmed sightings of it. So I think it may just be a sort of a touristy scheme, is to get people to try and go there.
Well, do you know what? It's funny though, but they don't encourage the Jaws connection there because I went. So when I came to see you, probably about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we'd been or we were about to go. I think we were about to go. And it's a little snobby Martha's Vineyard, and there's quite a lot of sort of money there and a lot of holiday homes. So, a bit like the Hamptons, but on an island. was my impression of it. And they don't encourage the Jaws link at all. There's very little, in fact, nothing. I was looking for guidebooks in guide shops and asking people, and there's very little there. But it's only if you know the locations and you can go and recognize them. And that there was one shop in the town, which is Edgartown, and there was one shop there that had like some Amity fake license plates, and that was about as much as I saw.
Oh.
But it was great to see the locations, and the beach, and I went to where Quint's hut was filmed, and that famous shot of his boat leaving and going out to sea.
Yeah.
But that was a build anyway, his hut, so his hut wasn't there, was never there. But I went out there. But I went specifically to see all the Jaws locations. It's a nice place, but they're certainly not that proud of the Jaws link.
But it was useful. Like I say, it was useful, but nothing was found. So that's why I thought it was a bit suspicious that the mid-tourist season.
Well, to get them to come out because there's a shark.
Especially with. Well, no, tourists has dropped off a lot.
Oh, is it?
Out of the States at the minute, especially with the gas prices.
Oh, so you think it might be? Yeah, I see what you mean. I tell you what I thought when I was there driving around, just trying to find all these locations. It's a small island, and I thought, what would be great? Once when we were in Hawaii, we bought this CD that you put in the car, and you do this driving tour, and the guy talks to you, and he says, right, you take a left here, you can stop here and get out and have a look at this view. Get back in the car and drive for 10 minutes. Then they play a bit of music, and then when you see something, you press play on the track 2, and he's like, right, now you're coming up to this, and it's like a guided tour, but on a CD you put in the car. I thought a Jaws one would be so cool if you could put one in, and you could have the Jaws music and.
It would be good.
Yeah,
See, with something like that, you could do now, but link it to your GPS in the car or your GPS on your phone.
Yeah, and you could have it online, and you could just. In fact, if anybody's out there, you can have this idea, but like you could have movie tours online, MP3s, and people could just pay a fee and download them wherever they were going and go on the guided tour.
Yeah, because it's real time, so it'd know when you were at that location.
Oh right, yeah.
And then play the appropriate part.
Yeah, play a bit of Jaws music.
Yeah, maybe a little clip.
What on your GPS could play clips?
No, if GPS is usually connected
to the
if it's on your phone, you better do it that way.
It's interesting. Anyway, I didn't see that story about the sharks in Martha's Vineyard, but I did go. I felt like I'd come geeky full circle to actually be stood on the Jaws beach, having seen. It was the first film I remember seeing in the cinema, actually, Jaws. I can remember going to Pinocchio, but all I remember is looking up at the cinema on the way in. Or Dumbo. It was Dumbo, and all I remember is looking at the cinema on the way in. And the first film I remember actually going to see was Jaws. What was your first film?
I think maybe Star Wars.
1977.
Yeah, that might be the first one I remember seeing.
I think Jaws was the year before
that. Yeah.
Actually, that reminds me. I went on I found a blog. I found it today, actually, this morning. And it was called, I will tell you in a minute what it's called. The blog is called The Cobwebbed Room. Cobwebbed. COBWEBBED Room. The Cobwebbed Room. And this guy has basically collated all the sweets and crisps from our childhood, but things that were horror related. I don't know if you remember, like crisps like Bones and Fangs and Dracula ice lollies that made your mouth
Oh,
wet.
yeah.
And it's a great blog. I'd recommend everybody to go have a look at it. But just when you see the stuff that they sold to us as kids in the 70s and early 80s, that just no way would it get sold today. Like the horror colouring book with werewolves and eyeless zombies with no eyes on the front. It's a kid's colouring book. And they've got Jaws crisps on there. I don't know if you remember those.
What crisps?
Jaws crisps.
No, I don't remember Jaws crisps. Remember there's the Dracula teeth. Wasn't there
Yeah.
some like skeleton bones ones?
Bones, salt and vinegar bones, fangs, claws, and there were ribs.
Ah, yeah, the claws, yeah.
Yeah, and there were ribs apparently, but I can't remember ribs. But anyway, yeah, the cobwebbed room, and it is full of all that merchandise that was aimed at kids, and you'd be surprised in how sort of in an age where you're so sensitive to like what kids watch and eat, how those little packets full of probably mind-bending chemicals sold with a horror connection. It was just a surprise at how it was sold. So I can recommend that.
Ellery Queen's Minute Mysteries. This is Ellery Queen with the case I call the psychological error. Police were befuddled by the story of a man named Ames who said he had shot his neighbor in a fit of complete terror and fear. Ames said his neighbor had approached him while he, Ames, was out shooting. The neighbor had repeatedly threatened me, Ames said, and in panic, my reflexes told me to fire. I told him I didn't know where he was getting his reflexes tested, but they weren't working. In a moment, the rest of the story. In the case of the psychological error, a shooting by reflex as a result of fear is not reasonable. Reflexes are the result of conditioning. The murderer tried to fool me with psychology, but I psyched him instead. Listen again to Ellery Queen's Minute Mysteries.
No, so I came across an interesting lecture online the other day. And unfortunately, I can't pull up the webpage, I can't remember the actual guy's name, but he was talking about how, excuse me, how like when the Industrial Revolution came around, one of the big things it brought out was free time for the first time. And
Free
people
time?
people having to manage their free time. Yeah, 'cause before then, work used to be basically, you like a farmer, get up when it was light, work till it was dark, go to bed, and the process start all over again.
Yeah.
With very little, free time if any. But the Industrial Revolution did actually free up time for people to use.
Yeah.
And at first, you were saying, like in Victorian times, people didn't know what to do, so basically they just went around and got drunk all the time. But eventually that changed, and people started to do more. Libraries started coming about. Libraries for all started coming out. Institutions and clubs.
Trips to the seaside.
Yeah. But then again, like when the war, the world wars happened, again there was a big boost in like automation. So again, even more sort of free time came about. People still use that, but it's always usually very sort of insular. Most people would then just basically just watch, TV in their off time, or if they did do a hobby and stuff, it was usually, a solitary hobby.
Yeah.
But with the internet and the level
I think I know what you mean. I think I know what you mean.
But with the level
Solitary
it is
hobbies.
now-
Go on.
Well, yeah, they called it cognitive surplus,
Oh, really?
and that now, it's big words, but just basically sort of say now there's more tools for people to produce more.
Yeah.
So rather than just consuming content, people are able to now produce their own content.
Yeah.
But more importantly, they've got a venue now to share their content.
Yeah. Something like YouTube or something like that.
Well, even just anything, YouTube or blogs or wikis.
I stumbled across a channel. We've got like a Virgin cable TV, and there's a channel on there that's all user generated content, and people go, and it's made to a high standard. People going out, going on travel trips and making little videos of their trips and sticking it on there, and it's a great way. It's a great way to cross-reference you sort of information. It's like if I'm buying something, I still use like an established source and a review site, but then I'll go off and like cross-reference it with stuff like, like just that people have posted online in their blogs, and it's a really useful tool to get a bigger picture of something, especially if you're interested in buying something expensive or going somewhere.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and like I said before, there'd never been a venue for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so the surge in people being able to write and produce things online.
Yeah.
Video, music, stories.
And
It's just
it's all,
exploded.
yeah, and it's all in its infancy, which is the amazing thing.
Yeah.
We think of it slightly jaded, like, I said, we've been doing the podcast for 2 years, but it's all totally in its infancy, and the technology's in its infancy, and in the next generation down, it's unimaginable what that's going to be like, and the tools they'll have access to. Just in terms of tools, like when we were 20 years ago, when we were making home movies and movies as friends, it was a big deal to get your hand on a decent camera, and it was expensive, and it was actually made things a bit harder because you had to edit on decent equipment and things like that we were lucky to have access to through that community filmmaking place. Now you can just go out and buy it all, set it all up in your house.
Yeah, the software, do it all on the computer.
Yeah. High definition. I mean, true high definition, widescreen high definition.
Yeah.
Video cameras. I mean, they're not cheap, but they're like £700 or £800. It's it's amazing. It is amazing, and where it will all end up is nobody knows. It's impossible to predict, really, isn't it? And it's just the speed of it is amazing. Like you say, you talk about people, like you go back to like the pre and post war years, and you take the 40s and the 50s, and you look at those decades culturally, there's not a huge difference, apart from maybe like the sort of rock and roll coming towards the end of the 50s. But a kid growing up, apart from the war as well, but a kid growing up in like England in the early 40s, not that much different from a kid growing up in England in the early 50s.
Yeah, or even up to the 70s. It's such,
Yeah, I mean, the 60s again had the sort of booming youth culture, but you take where in 2008, 2018, 10 years down the line, everything we're using to do this podcast with and record it with and post it with, it'll look like those 80s pictures of mobile phones where they're like the size of a house brick with a briefcase, battery case to size battery to carry around. So yeah, it is moving at an incredible rate, but it's when things move fast, Richard, that's when the robots take control.
We are approaching that singularity.
Yes, we are. We might be able to do a conference call with an artificial intelligence. Oh, I think that was Oliver. Anyway, good. That was a good highbrow place to wrap it all up, I think.
Yeah, that was good.
Good to speak to you again. We'll have to try and get one together in under a month next time.
Yeah, no, it was good. But especially, cause I wasn't sure if it was all going to work because I'm using Linux on this computer.
All right.
So I'm not using Windows at all.
It seems to be better, if anything.
Yeah, it's only a little old crappy computer I had kicking around, so I thought I'd play with that, put a different operating system on and different programs. It's still Skype, but it's Skype for Linux.
Get yourself a Mac.
Yeah, it's expensive.
It's what all the cool kids have got.
Yeah, one of the kids at work was sulking because the boss wouldn't let him have the morning off to go get the new iPhone.
Oh, God. I certainly haven't got an iPhone. When I go on holiday and I know that I can sort of not use my mobile phone for 2 weeks, I love that feeling. All right, Richard, so I'll talk to you next month.
Indeed.
All right, bye.
Goodbye.
Dracula.